Class, man. Quick recap of last class because it's been a while. We went over chapters 28 through 31. If anybody remembers that, we went over our forefather Jacob going to his uncle Laban's house and how that whole thing worked out. Then we have him going to marry Rachel and Leah, and how that whole situation worked out, and then how he ended up having to finagle his way out of leaving Laban's house, and with the separation of the sheep and everything. And Laban knew what was going on, how Jacob was getting blessed, so he wanted to hold on to him as long as he could. So just a quick little recap of the last class. That's where we left off. So today we're going to go ahead and start off with chapter 32. Get that rocking and rolling. That's going to be Jacob, his fear of Esau because something goes down, so he ends up having a somewhat tumultuous relationship with Esau at this point in time. So we're going to go ahead and read through that, and as you can see from the title on the screen, get into a few more things and rock it from there. If anybody had any questions, comments, put them in the chat or in the comments below. As you can see on the ticker at the bottom of the screen, there is a trivia question. So if anybody answers that right, hits me in the DMs, I will have a prize for you. Not going to say what that is, but I will let you know at a later date. All right, go ahead and getting started. Genesis 32. It says, and Jacob went on his way, and then the angels of God met him. I usually share my screen, and that way people can follow along and do it that way. But I don't have my laptop. I'm doing this another way, so we're just gonna kind of skip that portion. So I'm just gonna go ahead and briefly read through everything. Like I said, if any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them. You know what I mean? We'll deal with it as we cross these bridges here. All right, so 32:1, it says, and Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's host, and he called the name of the place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. Slack it 1 second while I add the brother real quick. So Jacob sent messengers, slack it. It says, this is God's host, and he called the name of the place Mahanaim. It says, and Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. My servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses and flocks and manservants and women servants, and I have sent to all my lord, and that I may find grace in thy sight. And remember, we just a quick little nugget for context. Remember, they didn't really leave off on good terms when they parted ways, Jacob and Esau. Last time Jacob and Esau was under the same roof, Esau was getting hell bent because Jacob usurped him or supplanted him, as his name would suggest, and got the birthright, which was prophesied. You know what I mean? So he was brooding, saying how he was going to kill Jacob. So his mom sent him on his way. So this is Jacob coming back, having revisionist history, you know what I mean, looking back like, I know things aren't probably the best. He may be over it. He may not be over it. So it's in my best interest to suck up a little bit, send him some gifts, try to get on his good side. So that's what Jacob's real smart. That's what he's in. That's what he's doing right now. It says, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came into thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herd and the camels, into 2 bands. So he was just like, okay, well, if he comes, at least if anything, if he attacks me, at least I'll only lose half my stuff. So he's devising, because he's not sure which way Esau is going to go. Is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? You don't know. And he said, if Esau come to one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God, my father Abraham, and my godfather and God of my father Isaac, the Lord Yahweh, which saith unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. It says, I am not worthy of thee, lest all the mercies and all of the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I have become two bands. It says, deliver me, I pray thee, from the hands of my brother and from the hands of Esau. It says, I will fear. It says, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me. It says, and the mother with the children. He says, so he's I know how Esau get down. He gonna be bloodthirsty. He's not just going to kill the men and enslave the women and children. He's going to kill everybody. He's like, so I played that. I find mercy in the Most High sight that you know what I mean. He softened up Esau's heart. So he's pleading right now, and he says, and thou saidest, I will surely do thee good and make thee seed as a sand of the sea. There we go. We see that promise again, going all the way back to Genesis 15 through 18. It says, make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which thou cannot be numbered for multitude. It says, and he lodged there as the same night and took that of which came to his hand and presented for Esau his brother 200 she goats and 20 he goats and 200 ewes and 20 rams. I forget what an ewe is. It's another name for a more common animal that we know. I forget what it is, though. I'm not going to Google it or nothing right now. So somebody know, drop it in the comments. Moving on. 15, Genesis 32, chapter 32, verse 15. It says 30 male camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls and 20 she asses and 10 fowls. It says, and he delivered them into the hands of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass over before me and put space betwixt drove and drove. So he said space it out to where it's like some type of a military formation, so to speak. I guess that's a lack of a better term, just to give you a visual of what we're dealing with here. It says, and he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meeteth thee and asked thee, saying, who art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? And thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. So he said, I want y'all to be in front of me, just in case if anything happened, I could break up out of here. So Jacob is very clever. He says, he said also he is behind us. So notice Jacob is in the back. And he says, and so commanded he the second and the third and all that followed the droves, saying, on the manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with presents that go forth before me, and afterwards I will see his face, peradventure he will accept of me. Droves is flocks. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just in case anybody didn't know, droves is flocks. So he had the flocks set up in different rows so he can kind of hit him with wave after wave of gift, and he would have to go through wave after wave of flocks and men in order to get to Jacob in case he wanted to do something. So like I said, Jacob was very strategic about how he went about doing this because he knows the nature of Esau. So let's see. Peradventure. Okay, yes. Genesis 32, chapter 21. It says, so went the present before him, and himself lodged that night in the company, and he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 wives servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. It says, and he took them and he sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of a day. So now we're going to get into our second portion of the title, where you see where it says the name of Israel. So this is where Jacob's name is going to get changed from Jacob into Israel. We're going to see why and what that actually means. It says, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. And when he had, Slakia, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he, as he wrestled with him, and he said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." So Jacob was stubborn. He's like, he kept wrestling, even though he knocked his hip out of place. He kept wrestling, and he knew. He's like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to get a blessing out of this, because he know this is a special. This isn't just some normal man. You know what I mean? If I wrestle with you from night till morning, and you could, neither one of us is gaining no ground, and then all of a sudden you do one little matrix move and knock my hip out of place, when you could have just did that from the start. You see what I'm saying? So Jacob is hit. He knows what's going on. He's like, no, he kept wrestling with him. So he's like, okay, let me go now. He's like, no, bro, I'm not letting you go until I get a blessing. He said, I won't go except thou bless me. And he said unto him, he said, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince has the power with God and with men, and has prevailed. Khan, the ox said, sounds like they were doing jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't doubt it that way before David came along, that our ancestors had some form of hand-to-hand, like high-level hand-to-hand combat, like deadly. You got to think, because remember, when Jacob is wrestling with an angel, so he had to have something. He couldn't have no average Jake moves. There's no way he's out there with average Jake moves wrestling with an angel. I just don't see that. You see what I'm saying? They was probably going bang for bang, buck for buck. You see what I'm saying? Block and hit, like them joints you see on the Dragon Ball Z, when they just be blocking everything, and it's just like a chess move. Like, oh man, I got to keep going until I get an opening. That's what I imagine. They was going at it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about going at it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to paint the visual because we ain't got too much going on here. But you know what I mean? That's how I picture it. And then like the angel got tired of it, knocked his hip out of place, and then angel knew, and then Jacob knew, like, nah, bro, I'm definitely gonna get that blessing up you. But all right, let's get back to the reading. And he said, so he named him Israel. And what does Israel mean? It says a prince of the power. Prince of the power. That's what that means. Yasha Allah. That's how you say that in the Hebrew, in the original Hebrew, is like Yasha Allah. So there's a prince of the power with God and men, and it has prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, "Tell me, I pray thee, thy name." And he said, "Wherefore is that thou doest ask after my name?" And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. It says, "For I have seen God's face. I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." And he had passed over Peniel. The sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. It says, "Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and in the sinew that shrank." I'm not really sure what that is. If somebody want to look that up, that's fine. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the joint, though, the joint of the thigh. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get on to chapter 33. Let me just get over here really quick. It's only 20 verses in this one, so it's pretty quick. So we're getting back to the story with Jacob and Esau. Now, Jacob just got this blessing. Mind you, he's heading forward to meet Esau. He prayed for the Most High's mercy. And what happened? He ended up going off by himself, running into an angel, wrestling, getting blessed, and his name gets changed to the Prince of the Power. Now he's gonna have his encounter with Esau. So let's see. So Genesis chapter 33, verse 1, it says, and Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men, and he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the two handmaids. He says, and he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. It says, and he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near unto his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So everything that Jacob had feared was at this is the climax point right here. Like, is he going, you know what I mean? Is it going right? Is it going left? And Esau just came out with nothing but love. You see what I'm saying? So the Most High answered his prayer and blessed him. So let's keep reading. It says then, and they wept, and he lifted up his eyes, and they saw that the women and the children, and they said, who are these with thee? And he said, these are the children which God has graciously given thy servant. And he said, then the handmaidens came near and said, and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with their children came near, and they bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, which meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, these are to find grace in thy sight to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that which thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face as though I have seen the face of God, and thou was pleased with me. It says, take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he had urged him, and he took it. So all that stuff that all that stuff that Jacob had prepared for Esau as like a bribe, so to speak, he really didn't even need it, because Esau was just happy to see his brother at the end of the day. And like I said, he prayed for that blessing, and the Most High softened Esau's heart and allowed them to have like a brotherly brotherly reunion, so to speak, rather than him going to war and him have to split up all his kids and stuff like that. And, you know, because he probably spent each kid with their mom. Like, hey, y'all go with y'all mom, y'all go with your mom, y'all go over there, y'all go on that side, and y'all are go on that side. If anything happens, woo-to. He had a whole plan set up just in case things went left. And you know what I mean? All praise to the Most High. Thank the Lord that, you know, he didn't have to go through that. And, you know what I mean? It was pretty good at that point. So let's keep reading. Where we at? Journey before thee, everyone north, the children tend the flocks. Okay, so yeah, he had to like beg him to take the gifts and stuff. So he finally took it. Moving on to Genesis 33 and 12. He said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, my Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and the herd with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. He says, let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as thy cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. And Esau said, let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, what needeth it? Let me find grace. Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day unto the way unto Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Sackcloth, and to build him a house, and made a booth for his cattle. Therefore was the name of the place called Sackcloth. And Jacob came to Shalem, the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. And he, when he came to the, when he had came from Padaram and pitched in his tent before the city, and he brought a parcel of field which he had spread his tent in the land of the children of Hamar, Shemek's father, and 100 pieces of money. It says, and he erected there an altar and called it Elohei Israel. All right. All right, and moving on to Genesis 34. Now, this is dealing with one of, because we always read about the patriarchs. We always read about the 12 patriarchs, the 12 fathers of Israel, all the 12 tribes. That there was a sister that was born to Jacob, or that was her daughter, I should say, that was born unto Jacob, or to our forefather Israel as well, which she's documented about. It's kind of a bitter story, but there is get back. It's always get back with Israel. So there's that. We're going to go ahead and get through this on Genesis 34, starting with verse 1. It says, and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamar, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and he lay with her, and he defiled her. So that's a very elegant way of saying that he took her and raped her. That's all that's saying. He saw her, he took her, he lay with her, and he defiled her. Now we know it wasn't consensual. We know this wasn't a marriage or anything like that, because it says that he defiled her. It's clear as day. It says that in verse 2. So that's how we know what manner of how to classify this encounter between these two. Verse 3. It says, and his soul clave unto Dinah, and the daughter of Jacob. And he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, get me this damsel to wife. Slakia, sidebar. Really quick, we're not going to go deep into it. I'm just going to throw this out here. If sex is marriage, why weren't they already married? Why would he have sex with her and then say, hey, get me this girl to wife? Just throwing that out there. All right, we're going to keep reading. Verse 5, it says, and Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Bro, I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. It's verse 5. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons was with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out from the field, and they when they had heard it, and that the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had because he had wrought folly in Israel, in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you to give her unto him to wife, and I make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto the father and unto the brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me this damsel to wife. He says, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor and his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. And they said unto him, we cannot do this thing to give our sister unto one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. It says, but But in this we will consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, then that every male of you be circumcised. It was like, okay, we'll do it, but under one on one condition. Y'all have to be you have to be circumcised. Y'all have to be circumcised just like we are, because you know what I mean, that's our custom, and that it would be even more, you know what I mean, defilement, for like, if that even is a word, you know what I mean, if you're not circumcised. So he says, like, get this done, and as you can see, they're being coy, they're, you know what I mean, they're being deceitful. It's like, hey, let's just get this nigga in, and we gonna, you know what I mean, we gonna distract them with the right and then hit them with the left. That's Israel for you in a nutshell. And you're dealing with all the brothers and Jacob now, so you know the plan was cold. It had to be cold. Let's see. Verse 16, it says, then I will give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters unto us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. He says, but if you will not hearken unto us and to be circumcised, then we will take our daughters and will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem's son, and Shechem Hamar's son. And the young men deferred not to do the thing which he had delighted in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein, for the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us to wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only hearing will the man consent to us for to dwell with us, to be as one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. It says, shall not their cattle be their substance, and every beast of theirs be ours? It says, let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. He said, hey, look, y'all just do this, and you know we'll have the baddest women that there is. That's basically what it comes down to. He was like, the Israelites got the baddest women. We want them, so this is what we got to do. We got to get circumcised like they get circumcised, and we're going to get this. It's profitable for us, right? It's enough land, it's enough this, and you know what I mean? We coming out on the upper hand, really. So that's how they're looking at it. It's verse 24. It says, and to Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out to the gate of the city, and every male was circumcised and went out into the gate of the city. And it came to pass that in the third day, when there were sore, and two of the sons of Jacob, Simon and Levi, Dana's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. It says, and they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. And the sons of Jacob came unto the slain and the spoil of the city, and they because they had defiled their sister. And they took sheep and their oxen and their asses, and and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all the little ones, and all their wives. They took their captives, and they spoiled even all that was in their house. It says, and Jacob said unto Simon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to shrink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites, among the Perizzites. And it says, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, and I in my house. And they said, should he be with our sisters, and with as with the harlot? So basically, he's like, I understand what you're saying, but you rather us just let him treat our sister like a hoe. Basically, is what he's saying there in that very last verse. And he's like, we're not going for that. Like, I understand what you're saying. If we got to go to war, we got to go to war. If we lose, we lose. But we're not finna let nobody just get away with that. Like, that's not happening. You read that again. He says, and they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? It's like, you can't treat, you know what I mean? This is our sister, man. You can't treat our sister like no hoe. Shagwago bar shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Shout out to the brother. Shout out to Yashala 12 Stones. Brother in the building. All praises. We're moving on to Genesis 35. It says, and God said unto Jacob, arise and go to Bethel and dwell there and make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. And when Jacob said unto his household and all that were with him, put away thy strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. It says, let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who's answered me in this day of my distress, and was with me in the day which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and which were in all their earrings, which were in their ears. And Jacob hid them under an oak, and which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were around them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob went to Luz, which was in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar and called the people El Bethel, because there God appeared unto him, where he fled from the face of his brother. But Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Aloam Bak. I don't know how to say that, but I know somebody will correct me in the comments or something. But moving on, verse 9. It says, and God appeared unto Jacob and said, and he had came out to Padanaram and blessed him. And God said unto him, thy name is Jacob, and thy name shall not be called no more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty, be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee. Kings shall come out of thy loins. In the land of which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee which I give it, and to the seed which after thee, which I would give the land. After thee I will give the land. Slakia. It says, and God went up from him into the place where he had talked to him, and Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake to him Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way that came to Ephrath. And Rachel traveled, and she had a hard labor. And it came to pass, when she was in labor, she had a midwife said unto her, fear not, thou shalt have this son also. And it came to pass that as her soul was in departing, for she died, she called his name Benoni, which but his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died, and she was buried in the way of Ephrath, which is in Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar upon her Slakia. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave, that is a pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the Tower of Adar. It says, and it came to pass, when Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went to lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. And now that the sons of Jacob were 12, the sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, and the sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, and the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. It says, and the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, was Gad and Asher These are the sons of Jacob, which were born in him in Padanaram. And Jacob came unto Isaac his father in Memra unto the city of Abra, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac sojourned. And the days of Isaac were 104 and fourscore years, and Isaac gave up the ghost, and he died, and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days. And his son Esau and Jacob buried him. Come, all right. I was gonna go over chapter 36, but I'm not really gonna do that because it's just the Esau's lineage. I mean, you can go through it. It's just, who begot who and who begot so and so. But that's all chapter 36 is Esau's descendants and how they line up and who's who and whose wife and how such and such became dukes and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it as far as 36. That's pretty much for a 4 chapter block that we usually go through. Next week we'll go ahead and do 37, 38, 39, and 40. Let me see something really quick. That'll put us at Genesis 40. We're probably going to do an extra chapter in these next couple classes just to finish it out, and we'll be on Genesis 50, and then we'll go ahead and start on Exodus after that. I just want to thank everybody who got on the class, everybody who's watched, shared, whatever the case may be. If anybody got any questions or concerns, you drop them in the chat, and we can deal with that now. Have a little free time to talk about whatever. If not, I'm going to watch the recap highlights from this fight. Khan, all praises. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close it out. The water to all the brothers that have been on. We'll be at y'all again next week. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah Barakatham. Mount Zion Shabbat class signing out.
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.